Expected and unexpected results in Rhode Island last night.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Oh my goodness, the thrill and excitement of a primary day. If only a lot of you understood what a primary actually means. You know, a lot of you are complaining that, you know, my vote doesn't count and what is this delegate thing and what does this mean? I would like to introduce civics into the United States education curriculum once and for all so that people know what the heck this whole process is all about. In the meantime, I'll try to help you with it, not to sound condescending, but after a radio program for 2 days in a row, weekdays noon to 3 on WPRL, moving, by the way, to afternoon drive next week, we got some work to do. We got a professor here tonight. Maybe he'll help us along, but you really need to understand what a primary is, what a party primary election is, and what a general primary election is, and what a general election is, and when you're unaffiliated, what do you do, and when you vote in a primary and then you come out, what form do you fill out, and who are you, and where did you come from? You know, those things, I know a lot of, anyway. Welcome into my state of mind. It is a pleasure to have you aboard. We are going to kick the rundown out tonight because we've got too much to do, and we got a special treat for you, a little musical relaxation. By the time we're done here, we're going to need it. I know Jim does. First, here's the headline from yesterday. Yes, Sanders snares Rhode Island in somewhat dramatic fashion, actually, and Donald Trump, who's always drama, sweeps all 5. Let's take a look at what happened on the national primary level with this little ditty.
2016 presidential candidates turn their attention to Indiana's primary next week following critical primaries in 5 northeastern states. Donald Trump declared himself the presumptive GOP nominee Tuesday after beating rivals Ted Cruz and John Kasich in Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Democrat Hillary Clinton defeated rival Bernie Sanders in 4 of those states, putting her even closer to clinching the party nomination.
And then we focus on what happened inside our fair little state.
The Island Board of Elections initially expected near record-breaking voter turnout.
They're looking at possibly maybe a 32% this time.
But at the end of the day, the totals weren't quite there. Eyewitness News crunched the numbers and found about 25% of registered voters cast ballots Tuesday. That's significantly under the record set in 2008, when voter turnout was 32.5%. GOP frontrunner Donald Trump won a staggering 38 out of 39 Rhode Island cities and towns, all except Barrington, which went to John Kasich. Ted Cruz didn't win at all in the Ocean State. He was the only candidate who didn't campaign here. On the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders clinched 35 of the 39 municipalities across the state, scoring a big win against Hillary Clinton, who had the backing of many of Rhode Island's biggest names, including the governor. Clinton won the 4 other state primaries Tuesday.
The governor should take note of this. Her weight added to the Clinton effort, like Dean Wormer would say, 0.0. And her own favorability rating right now is so low that someone ought to tell her. Maybe Professor Morone will. But first, let me talk to you about the delegates. This is how the whole thing worked out. Republicans spread it out because it's prorated. And you have to look it up to explain how the whole thing comes down. But for the most part, there are 10 statewide delegates, and then there are 3 in each congressional district, and then there's 3 at large from the committee people. And it all comes out on a prorated formula. And so Ted Cruz, if he didn't get 10% of the popular vote, he would have got nothing. Of course, if he had Carly Fiorina yesterday, maybe he would have 4 delegates. Anyway, on the Democratic side, yes, superdelegates add into the mix. When Bernie Sanders clobbers Hillary Clinton, he only wins by 2. And it is confusing to people, but again, you got to kind of learn up on the process. Professor Morone from the Taubman Center at Brown University is here. My friend, how are you?
Great to see you again. Late night, interesting night.
You always are high energy.
Well, this was a high energy day, watching Trump blast the party elites, watching Sanders, okay, he took hits in those 4 other states, but Rhode Island, we're not going to listen to anybody. We're going to go our own way. We're going to vote for 20% for that guy, Healy, with a beard and long hair for governor, and now we're going to go Sanders.
God rest his soul. He passed away.
I didn't. I find out the worst possible time.
Anyway, but your point's well made because you're absolutely right about that. This will be a precious moment on this program.
That's what I'm on here for.
So your numbers into the primary more or less nailed the Republicans. You nailed them. Correct?
Yes. Yes. We
Yes.
had
You
too many
nailed it.
undecided.
You
The
nailed it.
undecided went for Trump.
You nailed it. We have some of that around. Yeah. Now, you better have a 72-inch screen to read all these numbers. But if you peer through, you'll be able to. Something about that chart that you want to tell us?
Well, we got the cruise numbers just about right, if I'm reading that correctly.
Yeah, total
Case's
12%.
just about right.
Yeah.
Trump clearly ahead. A lot of undecided. 17% undecided. Where'd they go? They went to Trump.
Last minute.
Last minute.
Think the last minute trip
I think
into the
that
Crown
last
Plaza.
weekend.
Yeah.
So what exactly caused it? I think a combination of things, and one you talk about all the time, Dan, and that is people are pissed off. And when they stopped and thought about how pissed off they were, they went with Trump, or they went with Sanders. We had these big blocks of undecided people, and when we were sitting there sort of crunching the numbers, our people were saying, look at those undecided. On the Republican side, we thought they might go for Trump, but who knew? Our impression was that last weekend, a lot of motion. And boy, it went for Trump big time. It was interesting to see that go, too.
And then on the Democratic side, we've got those numbers handy. And this
I'm
was
going to close my eyes for this one. You do this.
This was a different ball game.
You do this
You
one,
guys
Dan.
didn't. You guys didn't nail this one.
You want me to justify it, or you want me to cry? Which would make better television? Let me justify it.
Okay, you can do whatever you want to do.
So, we had Clinton ahead, 43-34.
You're really devastated by this, aren't you? I
it
feel
broke my heart.
I feel a very heavy weight on your chest right now.
It's true. It's really true. But we had two things to say. There was, again, 16% undecided. So when people were saying, well, Clinton's going to win, right? I said, you know, these undecided, if you look at who they are, they're 2-to-1 independents. And if you look at the independents, they were 40% for Sanders and only 20% for Clinton. The undecideds were independents. The independents were breaking Sanders. So when we were talking about it, we said, well, how do we call this? And we said, let's just play it straight. Let's just say they're undecided. If I had it all to do over again, I would have grabbed the phone from those pollsters people and said, don't tell me you're undecided. Which way are you leaning? Because they were clearly leaning Sanders.
So is this a factor in your voter fatigue? Is this the
Yes.
data problem that you had?
I think so.
Because you were supposed to come out with the poll Thursday of last week. Instead, you waited until Sunday. Was this the struggle you were having?
What we were
You
having
called it
trouble
voter
getting.
fatigue.
Yeah. So you call people, say, we're going to ask you some questions. Okay, great. Who do you support in the primary? Click. Just didn't want to talk about it. And what we really had trouble, and I didn't realize that at the time, independents. Independents didn't want to talk to us. So if you had the green eye shade on, you went, what did you guys really do wrong? Not enough independents in our numbers. So we saw the independents breaking big for Sanders. We should have had more of them. And the independents told us they were undecided. They weren't undecided. Those people were going to vote for Sanders. Or maybe they were undecided till the last minute, but they were certainly leaning Sanders. Independents just went big against the parties.
So as a scientist of this stuff, what does that mean to you?
I think it means a couple of things. First, as I said before, Rhode Islanders are pretty pissed off. I'm not sure if you're going to run for office, I don't think you want the elite supporting you. You want to be an insurgent in Rhode Island now. Secondly, I think these elections are up to the last minute. I think both in the last election and this one, we had real last-minute shuffling, lots of fluidity, and I think everyone knew it. How is it that we saw all four leading contenders with 2 trips by the Clinton campaign in on the last weekend? I think everybody saw the fluidity.
Well, while we're talking about Rhode Island here, might as well throw this up. But by the way, I agree with you completely. But I said on the radio today, and I got some tepid response. This might have been a one-night stand in terms of the voter anger reaction thing. Perhaps we'll see it again in the primary and general elections. But how it manifests itself here in Rhode Island vis-a-vis General Assembly, pushing back on the kind of people that will impact reversal of road works, which polled terribly in your poll, right? I asked you to put that in.
You did. It's in the poll because of you.
I did.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was my fault.
Someone said, no, people are tired of that. I said, I can't go back on the Dan Yorke show.
They didn't like it. They didn't like it. 53% said, I'm done with it, and 38%, something like that?
53.2 and 20.7, strong.
Strong.
Strong, and you know, you don't want those intense.
But I don't know that they're going to act as constituents about it. In other words, I think there's a general discontent in the country. I think it's magnified in Rhode Island, but I do not believe that there's going to be any local manifestation of that in the General Assembly races. But we'll see.
You know, I think you're right. So 38.7% said, yeah, we're fine with the toll tax. And you got 53% against. Now, those aren't good numbers, but they're not a big towering
Speaking of other numbers, though, Governor Raimondo, favorability rating was 31%. Your poll was a little democratically weighted, correct? It was a little bit heavy on the Democratic side.
And not just Democrats, but it's very heavily weighted for people who turn out a lot. So this isn't a snapshot of all of Rhode Island. It's the voters, the guys who voted.
What that tells me, though,
again.
she's polling at 31% favorability with a heavy Democratic weight. That tells me that her real number, if you could have had a better sampling, because I know it was a struggle for you, it could be as low as 26, 27, 28%.
We're going to go back in and ask all Rhode Islanders. We've got to know more about
soon
this.
or next quarter?
I think in the next 3 months. In September, we'll probably go in as things settle out.
I think, with all due respect to the governor, she's operating on somewhat of a clueless level right now. She doesn't understand how disconnected she is from these constituents. And by the way, I don't think she cares, because if Hillary wins this race, she's out of here. Remember, I told you this.
Oh, yeah.
She's not a candidate for re-election.
So
she's got a whole nother agenda.
And now it looks like Hillary and Trump, right? I mean, it's very hard to see. All that money. Imagine you're a billionaire. You sunk all this money into the Stop Trump movement, carpet bomb the guy, and he starts breaking 60% as a result. Thank you very much for all that negative advertising.
When we come back, we'll talk more about that. But first, I just want to remind you about one of my favorite customers in the whole wide world. You know, sometimes when you're thinking about renovating your home, you worry about timetable and the actual budget coming in on time. Well, after my experience at Cumberland Kitchen Bath Design Center and having the home remodeled, it was Deb's idea, not mine. I fought it, and now I tell everybody, hey, what a great idea it was for us to decide to do this. It came in on time and on budget. If you want to trust your contractor and know they're going to say and do the same thing, Cumberland Kitchen Bath Design Center. Be right back.
The Democrats have treated Bernie very badly, and frankly, I think he should run as an independent, okay? And I actually do.
You know, by the way, that's not just instigating. There's a low murmur out there, low, but a murmur nonetheless, that Bernie might decide just to keep going. I mean, Donald Trump obviously is picking up on that. Obviously, if Bernie keeps going, that fractures the Democratic side. All this conversation so far has been about a third party leaning more conservative, or Donald keeping going as an independent. But could you imagine if Bernie didn't get what he wants and decide at the convention and decides, you know what, I'm just going to keep going?
And you notice that Mrs. Clinton, very polite to Bernie.
Very polite.
After that suggestion.
Love Bernie.
Yeah, he's...
Love his young people.
The really interesting question for both parties is, where does the party go from here? The political science wisdom is the party gets the candidate it wants. It gets its Mitt Romney.
We're talking about the Democrats or the Republicans?
Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah, okay.
And this year, that wisdom is just going up in smoke. The Republicans are going to look very much like they're going to get Trump, the man they want less than anybody else on earth. And the Democrats have to figure out what they're doing with Sanders.
Here's proof on that. Joe Camarano, who does what you do at Providence College, you know Joe, the political scientist, has been here on a number of occasions guaranteeing me that Donald Trump absolutely positively will not be the nominee. Today on the radio, he changed his tune.
First, I think I went wrong on sort of Trump's fundamental skills at running. That Trump really understood that the system has changed without anybody really understanding it other than him, and that now it's simply entertainment. It is not about politics. It is not about policy. It is about entertainment value and charging emotions. And I don't think the other candidates have ever gotten to that point. They tend to be much more focused on some kind of dialogue about issues.
You can hear the disgust and sarcasm in his voice.
Political scientists love issues. We have a hard time letting go, Dan.
Yes. You don't. You're the most animated political scientist I know. You love the theatrics of this, don't you?
It is
Joe, it's making him sick.
Oh,
I got to get you both on and you can nurture each other.
We can talk to one another.
Yeah.
But Trump, We've been making fun of Trump now for a long time. The fact is you don't get that far without having a lot of talent. The guy is talented at figuring out where we are in today's America and going to it. Now, if Sanders runs, I am now going to say what Joe was saying. I can't imagine Trump winning a general election. Don't think it can happen. But what have we been saying all along about Trump winning the primaries?
Well, look, you know, there's going to be an antagonism for Hillary Clinton. Check this out last night.
Well, I think the only card she has is the woman's card. She's got nothing else going. And frankly, if Hillary Clinton were a man, I don't think she'd get 5% of the vote. The only thing she's got going is the woman's card. And the beautiful thing is women don't like her, okay?
I always love those theoretical, if she were a man, I hate to break it to the Donald, she's not.
You got to.
So it's hard to make that computation. But listen, Hillary fought back.
Fighting for women's health care and paid family leave and equal pay is playing the woman card, then deal me in.
These two are going to kill each other. If we, I mean, it's premature. We got a convention yet, but they're going to kill each other.
Have you ever known an election, Dan, where two scenarios are perfectly plausible? On the one hand, the Donald could lead the Republican Party to a 1964-style blow-up, crash, go off the cliff. Sounds perfectly plausible, right? On the other hand, can you imagine an election where the Donald is here and left and right and up and down, and Hillary doesn't know what's going on, and good God, the guy sneaks in? Not likely. You look at the numbers, not likely, but could you imagine it? Yeah? Can you think of another election in our lifetime where you could imagine complete catastrophe for the Republicans, or my God, it could be a Clinton meltdown and Trump somehow, in ways we're not getting our mind around yet, winning?
Well, I got to tell you, there's a lot of Republicans that are just saying, you know what, we need a 4-year pass here, and they're hoping that Clinton wins this election. Now, Ted Cruz pulled a stunt today. I'm sure you're aware that Carly Fiorina, as we were beginning to produce the program today, was named as the running mate to the guy who probably has no shot at being the nominee, which is pretty interesting. That is historic, that a guy in a deep second going into a convention would try to pull out a stop and bring out Carly Fiorina, who, by the way, is a pit bull. You know, men beating up on a woman candidate feels like a bully. Carly Fiorina beating up on Hillary Clinton feels like a political catfight, not to be a chauvinist, but I mean, it's more palatable to the electorate. She's there for a reason, and to get California and try to pull this thing down delegate-wise, right?
Cruz is a savvy guy. I mean, you know, you like him, hate him, and most people hate him, but he's probably the smartest guy in the whole field. So he's losing all the coverage. It's all going to Trump. What's the move he can make?
Especially since Trump was doing the whole foreign affairs policy thing today.
Last night it's all about the blowout wins. Today it's about his foreign policy. And Cruz makes the headlines again. He's got to get Indiana. So if Cruz can pull off Indiana, winner take all, right? Or winner take most. Then maybe it's a catfight again on the race side.
A dogfight.
A dogfight. Sorry.
Get your gender fight straight, will you? What do you think is going to happen here for July? I mean, we'll have you back before then, but where do you think this thing is going?
I think it's going Trump, Clinton. I think you're right, and the elites are right, that the Republicans have prospered being in the minority party. You know, they don't mind running against Obama all the time and not winning the presidency. What my big crystal ball, they're going to continue to do just great outside of the presidency, but I think they take a pass on the presidency this time. Right. The danger is long-term effects of being that insulting to Latinos, to African Americans, to women.
Stay tuned. Good to see you, man. Thank you. When we come back, there's a show you got to see this weekend. Stay with us. Hey, there's a cool thing coming up on Saturday night. It's a concert at the Lincoln School Music Center, and it is former Providence resident, classical high school graduate Caroline Cotter, who has been touring and is coming home to benefit Ginny's organization, which is known as Peace Flag Project. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Peace Flag Project is what?
Well, the Peace Flag Project is a local pro-peace nonprofit. We focus on peace and on thinking about what peace is and what people want to do to create a better world. And we say everyone...
Well, maybe you should do some work at the next Trump event,
Well,
because there's a lot of antagonism going on there.
Well, I actually
Back and forth.
I'll just say something quickly because it's a pet peeve of mine. I think media so often dramatizes the bad that we have a sense that things are terrible in the world. And actually the world is quite different. There are millions of people doing fabulous things all the time, all over the world, and we hear very little about it. So I think people would be less angry. People would have a better balanced view of what life is like on this planet if we heard more about the good news, the good things that our people are doing.
Well, I can't argue.
Well, it's my pet peeve.
No, but I think you're right. I think you're right. Caroline, you're gonna play Saturday. Tell us about what you've been doing, where you're going, and what you're singing about.
Sure. So I sing about my adventures. I've been traveling for the past 10 plus years, doing various projects all over. But most recently, I've been touring the country in support of my most recent album, and it's been a lot of fun. I've seen a lot of beauty in the world, and the most recent tour was Portland, Oregon to Portland, Maine, and that was Playing for Peace. We took the mission of the Peace Flag Project and played shows all the way across the country.
So this is not happenstance that you show up for this organization. You have a philosophical
No, we have a real
consistency
connection
here,
Yeah.
right? Yes?
Yeah, right.
Well, I am so grateful to Caroline for doing this. She is performing to benefit the Peace Flag Project. It's just a wonderful, kind, thoughtful, peaceful gesture.
Are people, are they like part of your group? I mean, are there members, or
Yeah,
projects that you guys do? Or
we
what?
do. We have two main agendas. One is to work with people to make peace flags, which I sometimes describe as having a chance to make a wish for the world.
Are these one? Can you show
Here's a
them real
few
quick?
of them, yeah. So they go from very beautiful and elaborate to very simple ones like Smile, which is about peace. And Give Peace a Chance.
This is beautiful.
We are all connected.
This
And they are
reminds
real
me of
beautiful.
the post 9/11 display downtown.
It does, the tiles, the wall of
Yes,
hope.
it does.
Yeah. This one is very clever. Save Our Schools, and it's a school of fish, so it's kind of
I get
a
it.
double thing.
I
you
get
know?
it. Okay.
People are endlessly creative and clever.
This, we have a full screen on this, I believe. I think we've got information here that we can show you. Again, it's April 30th, and it's at the Lincoln School Music Center. Tickets are only $25 in advance, and you got to go to the website, thepeaceflagproject.org, to reserve a seat. What kind of crowd you going to have? Big crowd?
I think we're going to have a pretty good crowd, yeah. We've had lots of tickets sold and more promised.
I got a minute. Give me a little sample.
Sure. Well, I thought this would be a good opportunity to teach everybody a song so that when they come to the show, they can sing along.
Good, hurry.
Okay. Goodbye, Bella Blue. Goodbye, Bella Blue. I saw the sea, but I see the hills too. Goodbye. So that's the part that you would sing.
What a sweet voice.
Should you want to come and sing along?
It's lovely.
I got to rearrange my
Thank you very much.
night on Saturday.
Yeah, come on.
Welcome back home.
Thank you very much.
We'll save you tickets.
There you go. Final word. Look it up. FoxProvidence.com if you missed the information. We have it all for you. Final word when we come back. All right, you folks in Burrowville, those big bad power plant guys, I know that's how a lot of you see it. They'll be here tomorrow to talk about their plan. So be here. See you on the radio tomorrow at noon on WPRL. Thanks for watching. Good night.